I think it's nice for you, especially to have some mementos from your career for your kids to have. You know, a piece of
you don't need all of it.
You don't need all of it. You take pictures of it, have a photo album of everything, and pick 2 or 3 things. And what I like to do is have one bank box for each year, for each person. So this is, you know, especially when the kids are in, you know, grade school or high school, you get one bank box for each year. And
is that like a shoebox?
Like this, you know, where you put your bank files in.
Oh,
yeah, you get them at Staples or anything. Yeah, a box like this. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's just something to say, okay, here's the best stuff of this year. Then they could go through it later when they want. Right. But like for her, it's like, okay, this is what you did in kindergarten. Here were your best little art projects.
It would all go in a bank box.
Exactly. But for you, yeah. So how do you spend your time when you're not acting? What hobbies do you have? I would think somebody like you is somebody who's very conscious socially because of your
heart.
I
have no hobbies.
None?
I have no hobbies. So apart from my kids obviously suck up a lot of time because I'm, you know, taxing to their lives. I have no hobbies. So when I'm in New Zealand and there's no work to chase, I have to get busy. I have to busy my mind, otherwise I get doughy, like physically, mentally, and eventually depressed. So I now write for the newspaper.
What do you write about?
Anything I want to. So the things that are coming out, I've kept it down to writing just once a month because I don't want to commit my life to that. It's a big life choice, you know, and I think it's changed my interior life writing for the paper because everything's potentially an article, you know, a column rather. And so I went out with the South Auckland Police and did a visit to recidivist pedophiles in the community. Well,
that's interesting.
I was very careful not to identify anybody, not to give any physical descriptions or give them names, anything like their own names. In fact, I just called them by initials, which are not even their own. But boy, could I have given really, I could have given incredibly powerful descriptions of these particular gentlemen. Anyway, it was super interesting, but I was still writing in only 800, 900 words. You can't give all sides to an article. You can't research. You can't. There's no way of putting a pretty face on recidivist pedophilia. And I started a conflagration, and I felt like I'd started a witch hunt. And the fact is, these people have paid their dues, and the police have started a new squad to try to, almost like AA sponsors. So they say, and they'll go around and visit them and say, okay, what are your triggers? What's going on in your life? What is the family situation? All this stuff. So that if they fear that they're going to reoffend, they can ring up the officer from the squad and go and say, help, I'm going to offend. A 4-year-old just moved in here and that's my age group. Because there's a specific age group that people go for. And the police come and hook them out of that halfway house immediately, and that child is safe, at least from this chap, you know. It's a very complicated world. It's a very complicated thing to talk about without riling society because they're so taboo. Anyway, I felt ashamed that I had kind of handed these guys the pitchforks to go after people who admittedly are terribly dangerous, but some of them are trying not to reoffend, if only to keep themselves out of prison.
Absolutely.
And to have vigilantism going after them or targeting halfway houses, and there are many different types of people in halfway houses. Yes. They might have mental illness, they might be just down on their luck temporarily. I felt ashamed. And that's difficult because you realize how powerful you are. Like, people will read my articles. And some of it's for the Lucy Lawless factor, and now it's because I've written these things which have ignited a lot of interest.